Hey, what's up? It's Jeff with Decoding Dev, and in this video we're going to talk about services in Angular. So let's take a look at what we're going to be creating. We have a two-column layout and a way to buy. What more do we need? It's tacos. Up until now we've been keeping all of our code in a single file for simplicity, but in this tutorial we're going to break things up a bit and make things more manageable. Let's take a look at the code to make this happen. We start with the HTML page. If you're following along with the previous tutorials, this should start to look familiar. We're going to break up the JavaScript into its components. This makes it easier to manage, and then you don't have to be sifting through a mile-long file of spaghetti code to make a simple edit. Let's start with app.js. This is where we will initialize the app and bring in any dependencies necessary in order to run the application. For right now, we don't have any, so we can just initialize the app and then move on. Next, we'll move to creating the controller. As you can see here, we've initialized the module with product app, and then we've created the controller with products controller, and we've brought in the products controller function, and we've even stubbed out the view model with this. There's more code to come here, but I just wanted to have this pre-stubbed out so that you don't have to watch me typing. Finally, we need to create the products factory. In Angular, there are a couple of ways that we can manage data. We'll be covering the most common, which is a factory which returns an object with all the public methods. So let's create the Angular factory called products factory. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to bring in the Angular module, and we're going to call this product app. Then we're going to bring in the factory. We're going to name this products factory. And then we are going to do some dependency injection. In this case, we need to use Angular's built-in $HTTP so that we can get the data. Great, now we have access to that. What we need to do here is we need to get products. So let's expose a method. And we're going to call this method getProducts. Great, now let's actually create the function. And this function will return a promise, and that promise will be using the $HTTP get. Right now, what we're going to do with this is we're going to use mocked data. So it's just a JSON file. I'll show it to you after I finish created this factory. And I had just previously created this, and I called it products. Then we're going to have a success handler and a failure handler. The success handler for the promise is going to be a then, and we're going to create an internal function to handle this. And we're also going to have a catch to handle the errors. Now let's actually create those functions. And this is going to accept a response. And it's going to return the response.data. This is going to return an error. And for right now, we are just going to catch this in a console log. And pass along the error. Great, so that completes our factory. It's looking pretty good, and as I promised, I can show you the JSON, and it's really straightforward. We have the title, we have the description, and then we have the list. Each list item contains a name, a price, and a description, and that's all we need in order to create this. But now we need to access this factory back in the controller that we had initially created. Let's go back and take a look at that. In order to access this controller, we're going to need to include it in. Currently, we only have products controller, so we're also going to pass in the products factory. And then we're going to need access to that in the function. And then let's make the call to get products within the products factory. And then we are going to get the data from the promise. And finally, we are going to populate the data in the view model with the data from the factory. Great, so that should be it. Now, if we go back to the HTML, we can see here we have the title, we have the description, and we have the list. So now you have some knowledge into how to get data into your application. Thanks for watching. I'll link the code in GitHub in the show notes and also provide some additional resources for you on services and factories. If you like the show, give it a thumbs up or subscribe. I'm Jeff, and this was Decoding Dev.